My name is Jane Pierce. My business is Tarot Jane, and I'm here to talk to you about astrology. In particular, I want to talk to you about new moons and how new moons will be for us in the first half of 2024. As you already know, and if you don't, please check another video for more detail. A new moon happens when the moon and the sun come together. Now, the moon represents our heart and the sun represents our head, so we've got an alignment of our head and heart in a new moon. Or perhaps the moon can represent our body and the sun can represent our spirit and its alignment of our body and spirit. But whatever that paradox is, head and heart, mind and spirit, expression and reflection, when they are together, when they hold the same energy, we have this tremendous new beginning. It doesn't always happen to be the point of highest energy. Full moons have much more dynamic and active energy. A lot more things happen. But a new moon is the quiet, still place where we are in alignment and the moon is dark and we begin a new cycle. Now, of course, we have a cycle for every moon, and also we have a cycle for bigger periods of time. The cycle I want to talk to you right about now is about the cycle for the first half of the year of 2024. We start the year in January with some little bit challenging energy, particularly a Mercury retrograde. So by January 11th, when we have our first new moon in Capricorn, we've already got an improvement. This still quiet time of January's point of reflection and new beginnings comes after Mercury's out of retrograde. And it comes while Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet of change and transformation, of hidden agendas and underlying power struggles, that planet will still be in Capricorn where it's been for most of the time since 2028. I'm sorry, 2008. And this is the last time that we have a new moon in Capricorn with Pluto present. And what that means is this is the last time Capricorn gets to experience the beginning of a new cycle with our head and our heart aligned, while we still have Pluto waiting to settle its final changes in the area of our charts that Capricorn uses. So what I urge all of you to do is when around January 11th, you have experienced that quiet still point where you can bring your head and your heart in alignment. You can ask yourself questions like, what traditions do I value? What am I asking myself to stabilize financially for my future? Those questions can be answered so that the changes that have happened in your life since 2008 can be solidified. You use this January 11th new moon to anchor those changes, anchor the profound transformation that Capricorn's experienced over these last 15 years, and allow that new anchored intentional change be what carries you through, because the next time we have a new moon in Capricorn, Pluto will be in Aquarius and it's going to be there for 20 years. So in this last year where we have tastes of Pluto coming back into Capricorn twice during 2024, we get to firm that energy up while it's still moving around. I invite you to find something new to create and celebrate every new moon. Let me give you some other ideas about them. On February 9th, we have a new moon in Aquarius. This will not be as impactful as the Capricorn new moon is, where it affects 20 years of our life. But it is also near the beginning of a cycle. Aquarius is the curious planet, and it rules innovation, it rules change, it rules technology. And Pluto is just going to be entering Aquarius, and we'll be experiencing our first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto present with it. Because of that, you can ask yourself questions like, how do I define progress? How do I find the use of technology? What innovations do I want brought to my life? And while you're asking this question with Pluto newly present, know that you are just beginning to explore something that will have to be rediscovered and transformed again and again over the next 20 years. one of those areas for innovative, curious, and honestly service oriented, because Aquarius is inherently communal. It is more a part of a society. And so the questions we ask in Aquarius are not about us alone, but us in technology, us in social media, us and others. And making that experience a little more intense, the Aquarius new moon on February 9th is going to kick off some really curious and innovative times in Aquarius as Pluto and Mars and Venus all start mixing their energy together. So I invite you to take this time on February 9th before everything starts happening on Halloween and Valentine's Day. Take this time to think about what relationships you want to change, how you want to experiment, explore, and be different with the people in your life and the people in your community, or even so big as the people in society. Because we'll have that opportunity soon after the Aquarius new moon when Venus and Mars enter Aquarius and begin to dance with each other in Pluto, asking us to look at the darkness that we've dealt with and the power of bringing together conflict and harmony. So this February 9th new moon has a lot of potential, both for the future and for current interpersonal reactions. Thankfully, after two intense ones, one settling 20 years of change, one initiating 20 years of change, March's new moon is nowhere near as intense. And that's just about par for Pisces. Pisces asks us when we have a new moon there, what dreams inspire me? How do I align my head and my heart together for goals to the future? And this is going to be a preparation time, much more of dreams and hopes and optimism and moving forward than of actually what's happening in March. You see, the March new moon in Pisces is the last normal new moon before March 25th gives us a full moon eclipse. And so March 10th is a quiet time in Pisces to reflect and to dream and to begin to make possibilities, because we are about to start in astrology the new year on March 21st. Because the spring equinox is the time of year that we are the most empowered by astrology to begin again. When we hit 0 point Aries with the sun and all of these other energies start to spring and rise up again, that energy in that beginning new year will inspire us all to see where we want to go. Before that happens, March 10th says, look back. What dreams have you gotten there? Think about your feelings. Feel about your thoughts. Let that idealism of the Pisces and the ability to blend and merge the two opposing views that Pisces does so well, let your ability to feel for both sides come together and give you a summing up or an ending, a closure before the explosive changes that bring in with the spring. And explosive changes is probably the best way to describe our April new moon. First of all, the Aries new moon is always the first sign of the zodiac with a new moon beginning, has always got this exciting spring energy of explosive growth. It's just a lot more explosive this year because on April 8th, we have our second Aries solar eclipse of this Aries Libra cycle. And this one is a lot of intense and potentially hot and frustrating energy. You see, because the eclipse is in Aries, it's ruled by Mars, because Mars always rules activities of Aries. And Mars is in a rough spot this year, right around that eclipse. Mars, the planet of fast endings and speed and heat and sharpness, meets up with Saturn, the planet of slow, cold, dreary endings. And so that conflicting energy of the heat of Mars and the frigidness of Saturn, of the explosiveness of Mars and the crushing weight of Saturn, whether it's the heat and the cold, the hurry up or the wait, that is going to make that energy come together, will make this eclipse very challenging. And this eclipse is going to hit all of us in America stronger. It's, again, another great American eclipse where its path will be visible across so much of America. And if you aren't given the opportunity to go look at it, carefully on the afternoon of April 8th, I invite you to find ways to carefully look at yourself, because this is a day that's going to be hot, explosive, frustrating, all sorts of hurry up and wait energy, and changes and shocks that come with eclipses, that come with Mars and Saturn together, and come with a number of other changes that are in the planets at that time. So when you get there to April 8th, be patient with yourself. It won't be easy. Don't give in to frustration, and that also won't be easy. The new beginnings are happening, but they're probably not happening as fast as all of us wish they would. So you'll find that although the April new moon is going to be powerful, it's not necessarily going to be pleasant. Thankfully, May and June's new moons are so much sweeter. On May 7th, we have a new moon in Taurus, and that new moon invites us to ask questions such as, how do I honor my comfort zone? And honoring your comfort zone will be very easy then. We call Jupiter and Venus the benefics, the two good planets, and those planets are going to be surrounding the new moon with the sun and moon in Taurus, with the addition of Jupiter being very close to Uranus, giving us this burst of benefic energy to the rebellion and change that Uranus represents. As a matter of fact, that late April date of Uranus and Uranus and Jupiter's conjunction is going to be a great time for all of us. And it'll be followed by this Taurus new moon, where Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Sun, and Moon are all together, making all of us align a lot of energy in finding comfort and taking care of the basics and the necessities, and discovering how we can find not only the best way to be in our comfort zone, but also how to expand our comfort zone and how to get our basic needs met. Needs for food and energy and housing, these things that have had so many crises and so many limits and upsets in our supply chain and during the pandemic. This is another celebration that we get to say the pandemic, the shutdown, that difficult time is done. And now those innovative and surprising changes we made that Uranus fed into us, now we get to solidify them. Now, instead of being a surprise to be doing it this way, such as talking on Zoom, it's a comfort zone to meet this way. And the changes that we liked that came from the pandemic can easily be solidified and carried through in May with this Taurus new moon. It's particularly important that we do, because Jupiter, that spends about a year in every sign, is about to leave Taurus and move on. So May is the time to anchor a new moon with Jupiter there helping us out. And of course, in June, when we have a new moon in Gemini, it'll be the time to start the anchoring of the experiences that we want to bring when Jupiter's in Gemini. That new moon of Gemini happens on June 6th. And not only is it the first time we have a new moon after Jupiter's entered Gemini just a couple weeks before, but we also have what's called the Venus Cazimi, or the meeting of Venus and the Sun to set a cycle for the next period of time. And that's happening in Gemini just right 2 days before this new moon. So we'll still have the energy of Venus shining its harmony and beauty on the new moon of Gemini. We'll have Jupiter there with Mercury, adding luck and a gift of an abundance to our speech. This is the time for poetry. This is the time for beautiful music. This is the time to express yourself and to find ways to learn new languages, to find new ways to speak, whether that's a foreign language or a sign language or learning another programming language. However it is that you communicate, this is the time to make that happen and to enjoy what you can do with words and sounds, music, and understanding. So give yourself this gift of working on some of these challenges that I've offered you to focus on. In January with the Capricorn new moon, on January 11th, on February 9th with the Aquarius new moon, on March 10th with the Pisces new moon, on April 8th with the explosive new moon solar eclipse in Aries, on May 7th with the Taurus new moon, the last one with Jupiter's help in Taurus. And on June 6th, the new moon in Gemini, the first one after Jupiter transitions into Gemini. These 6 months are great opportunities to start and end cycles, anchor what you want to keep, and be intentional about what you want to have the changes that the major outer planets' changing signs can bring you. Coincidentally, only Pluto and Jupiter of our outer planets are changing signs this year. So these are the times to really focus on those changes, because Saturn, Neptune, Uranus are all staying in the same signs for the entire 2024. Of course, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Sun and Moon change signs a lot. Every couple days for the Moon and every month for the Sun. And as these changes happen, you're going to have an opportunity to make changes about how you think about the world for the Sun's changing sign, and how you feel about the world for the Moon changing sign. Use these times of lining up your thoughts and your feelings on these new moons when the energies runs low and the potential is high, to bring what you want into your life. And if you'd like to know more about astrology, you can check out some of my other videos. Find me on Patreon, where I offer plenty of services and an opportunity to get things personalized for you once a month. Or find me in my newsletter, where I send a Friday night email out. I hope all of you have wonderful new beginnings for the first half of 2024. And I look forward to talking to you about the new moons in the second half of 2024.